So in this lesson, we are going to talk about hydrogen power plant. From the word hydrogen, hydrogen is a versatile energy carrier and you can power anything with hydrogen within numerous thermal, chemical, and electrical applications. So hydrogen can be produced from a variety of resources. So let's read a brief description. A hydrogen power plant is a concept designed for a new widespread source of electricity. Essentially, is a facility which uses hydrogen to produce electrical energy. It means that hydrogen is an energy carrier that can deliver or store a tremendous amount of energy. Hydrogen can be used in fuel cells to generate electricity or power and also heat.
Working principle. Large tanks of liquid hydrogen will feed into thousands of hydrogen fuels. These fuel cells are solid structures containing an electrolyte fluid and two terminals, much like batteries. The reactants flow into the cells, in this case hydrogen and oxygen. They intermingle with the electrolyte to produce an electrical charge and water as a byproduct. The water falls out another part while the electricity is siphoned off the terminals and held in a gigantic multi-ton batteries. The electricity resides in the batteries until it is needed, in which case it is sent out through the local power grid just like any other type of power plant. So your large tanks nga ng liquid hydrogen, nagsusupply sila ng nagsusupply ito sa may hydrogen fuels. Then yung hydrogen fuels, nagko-contain siya ng electrolyte fluid and terminals like batteries. Battery parts and functions. Electrolyte is a chemical compound that conducts electricity by charging into ions when melted or dissolved into a solution. It can be liquid or paste-like substance. Example, ammonium chloride, zinc chloride, potassium hydroxide, lithium in phosphorus sulfide, sulfuric acid. Anode is the negative or reducing electrode that releases electrons to the external circuit and oxidizes during the electrochemical reaction. Examples, zinc, metallic lithium, and lead. Cathode is the positive or oxidizing electrode that acquires electrons from the external circuit and is reduced during the electrochemical reaction. Examples, manganese dioxide, carbon, lead dioxide, and copper. Battery schematic diagram. Sa may right part ng schematic diagram niya, andito yung anode, tapos nagko-contain siya ng mga positive elements. Then sa may left part, doon naman matatagpuan yung anode, then nagko-contain naman siya ng negative.
Now, let's talk about working principle of hydrogen fuel cell. Gaya ng kanina, it works similar to a battery. Hydrogen and oxygen are being supplied by anode and cathode na makikita naman natin sa screen. And kapag yung molecule ng hydrogen nag-react siya with catalyst, which is made of platinum, yung molecules na to ay na-split into two particles, which is called protons and electrons. And yung na-split namang particles ay napupunta siya sa cathode na makita natin sa video na yung protons dumidiretso siya sa other side, wherein yung electrons naman ibang path yung tinatahak niya and dumadaan siya dun sa mga wires para makarating dun sa kabilang side. Pero even though magkaibang path yung dinadaanan nilang dalawa, at the end magtatagpo pa rin sila sa side ng cathode kung saan naman nagpo-produce sila pag yung protons and electrons na nanggaling sa hydrogen, pag nagtagpo sila sa cathode na may kasamang oxygen, magpo-produce sila ng air and water vapor. So next naman is how fuel cell vehicle works. So, katulad din ng sa hydrogen fuel cell, parehas lang sila. Katulad ng napaliwanag kanina, parehas lang sila ng um, ng cycle, and magkaiba lang yun na ipoproduce nila. Next, hydrogen fuel cell working principles. So, gaya nga nung naipaliwanag kanina, ito lang yun. Fuel cells works like batteries, but they do not run down or need recharging. They produce electricity and heat as long as fuel is supplied. A fuel can consist of two electrodes, a negative electrode or anode, and a positive electrode or yung cathode, sandwiched around a electrolyte. A fuel, such as hydrogen, is fed to the anode and air is fed to the cathode. In a hydrogen fuel cell, a catalyst at the anode separates hydrogen molecules into protons and electrons, which take different paths to the cathode. The electrons go through an external circuit, creating a flow of electricity. The protons migrate through the electrolyte to the cathode, where they unite with the oxygen and the electrons to produce water and heat.
Hydrogen atoms enter the anode while oxygen is fed to the cathode. The hydrogen atoms are separated into protons and electrons at the anode with the use of platinum catalyst. Then now, the positively charged protons passes through polymer electrolyte membrane, also called a protein exchange membrane heading to the cathode. The feed electrons travel through a wire creating the electric current. After passing through the circuit and the membrane accordingly, the electrons and protons meet at the cathode where they combine with oxygen to produce heat and water as byproducts. Fuel cells have much lower emission than combustion engines. Hydrogen fuel emits only water, so there are no carbon dioxide emission and no air pollutants that create smog and cause health problems at the point of operation. Also, fuel cells are quiet during the operation as they have fewer moving parts. Hydrogen production through methane. About 95% of the hydrogen used today is produced by a process called stream reforming, separating hydrogen carbons atoms from carbon atoms in methane. This process is expensive and it releases greenhouse gases which contribute to global warming. Hydrogen production through water. The other production method is electrolysis, which separates from water. The downside is that it's expensive. Cost. The cost of fuel cells can be high given that use of platinum as one of the largest component material. However, there is work underway to find non-platinum catalyst approaches.
Hydrogen storage. Scientists are still struggling with the challenge of how to store hydrogen because it has such a low energy density. Hydrogen needs to be kept under strong compression to be a viable fuel source, necessitating strong tanks and heavy duty fueling lines. As there is currently no mainstream system of storage and distribution for hydrogen fuel, this is a major practical disadvantage. Hydrogen leak. Hydrogen leakage can occur during many steps of its production and use. Science magazines reported in June 2003 that hydrogen leakage from widespread use of hydrogen fuel would gobble up ozone faster than CFCs do. Latest development. Long Range Energy Generation Project, touted as a first of its kind power plant in the United States, the Long Range Energy Generation Project, a 485 megawatts facility being equipped to run a mix of natural gas and carbon-free hydrogen, is nearing completion at the site of a former aluminum smelter on the banks of the Ohio River. The facility first will burn a fuel blend that includes 5% hydrogen in a General Electric H-class gas turbine. The plant is intended to transition to 100% green hydrogen over the next decade by relying increasingly on renewable energy to power electrolysis machines that split water into its hydrogen and oxygen elements. Siemens Energy. Construction begins on world's largest green hydrogen power plant, part of the unique base load solar project. Siemens Energy will operate the unique 170-meter facility in a remote part of French Guiana, which will provide 10 megawatts at night. A unique baseload renewables project that combines the world's largest hydrogen power plant with a 16 megawatts machine for electrolysis of water, a 3 megawatts fuel cell, 55 megawatts of solar panels, and 20 megawatts or 38 megawatt hour a battery has begun construction in French Guiana.